Hello, this is Alicia from Sweethearts Gaming Talking, and welcome to our first Rebel Guide video. These videos will be an alternative and unique champion guide series that we will post frequently. In this guide I will cover the major things you need to know for our Sona Soraka dual lane combo. In this setup we will play both Sona and Soraka as sort of a AP carry role, which will focus more on both champions' offensive abilities rather than their roles as supports. Let's start out with the item build and masteries for both champions. On Soraka, you'll want to start out with Adorance Ring, followed by Ionian Boots of Lucidity to make your Q more spammable and lower the CD of your silence and heals. After that, grab a Will of the Ancient and a Gravidance for more AP, damage and survivability. Make sure to get the Realized Crystal Scepter for some extra HP, slow and even more build power. The last two items you'll have to adjust yourself, depending on what you're up against. For masteries I use a fairly common offensive caster setup, making sure to pick any AP related mastery in the offensive tree. On Sona you'll start with Adorance Ring as well, and grab a Sheen as quick as possible. Together with her Q spell and her passive, this gives her a powerful harassing ability. Get the Ionian Boots of Lucidity to make all of her spells more spammable. Since the auras of the Will of the Ancient stack up to 2 times, get one for Sona as well. Get the Rabadon's Death Cap and turn your Sheen into a Lich Bane to increase your poking potency. And again, complete the build with whatever suits your playstyle. Since Sona is more depending on cooldown reduction than AP, I choose the utility tree instead of the offensive one. For runes, I take Magic Penetration Marks, Mana Regen per level Seals, AP per level Glyphs, and flat AP Quints. Since you don't really have any mana issues while playing Soraka, you could exchange your Mana Regen Seals with, for example, AP per level Seals instead. The major difference between Sona and Soraka's offense is that Sona excels more when it comes to burst damage, while Soraka has a far better sustain in her damage. This damage, along with some decent ground control, is one of the reasons why they are such a powerful lane combination. To prevent that any one of you takes too much damage, or goes out of mana from being in the enemy's face too much, you should actually take turn between harasses, and the person who isn't harassing can last hit creeps while waiting for heals. A slightly annoying thing about these champions' harassment abilities is that you could easily push the lane by mistake, which is a very bad thing if the enemy team has a jungler. However, because of your powerful harassment, you can often keep your enemies from getting last hits, even if you're pushing your minions all the way to the enemy's tower. Although, you should only do this if you know that you're safe from the enemy jungler, and in case if they don't have a jungler, you should actually do this as often as possible, since you're able to attack the enemy even if they're under or even hiding behind their own tower. You can even afford to take a few tower hits, since of the amount of healing you will be able to throw out, in case you want to tower dive your enemy. When you play this setup with a friend, your teammates will probably not appreciate your rebellious ways of playing these champions, and the risk of your enemy team laughing at you and making fun of you as well is fairly high. However, this setup is more than viable, and if you succeed, your enemies will probably end up flaming your lane opponents anyway, which I personally find hilarious. So ignore the haters and flamers and have fun playing this setup. Playing this setup is also a great way of practicing your harassing for when you're playing either of these champions as a support. This way you'll probably enjoy playing a support more, instead of just standing in the background throwing heals when needed. To summarize this guide, I'll go over the advantages and disadvantages you'll have while playing this setup. As I've mentioned before in this guide, this setup's strong points is their insanely strong sustained and their harassing powers. Since I recommend that you go bot lane in this setup, you'll mostly end up facing an AD carry and a support, and they won't stand a chance against you, and neither will most other setups as well. As I said earlier, you'll have to finish your item builds yourself. The same thing goes for your summoner spells. Pick whatever suits you and your gameplay. The negative parts with this setup is, if you're left alone, you'll be very vulnerable to attacks. Last hit is going to be an issue all throughout the game. Both champions loses their efficiency in late game. If you would end up in a one-on-one with a melee champion without being able to escape, you can probably kiss your ass goodbye. But let's ignore all the negative parts. Have fun, good luck, enjoy the game, and win the game like the rebel you are. Thank you for watching our first Rebel Guide video. Tell us how we can improve ourselves by leaving a comment below. If you enjoyed the video and want to see more Rebel Guides, like this video and subscribe to our channel. And remember, always be a rebel.